Shut up and sit down.
Jackie! Don't I want my dough now? Give. God damn it! Oh. Welcome back! Sorry about that, folks. I had a little bit of discrepancy going on right now with one of my constituents, as you know, is Jackie. But welcome back to Off the Ropes, and here I am now, the main man with style and profile, Kane the super what? Snooker, and my partner in crime from the Nolans, Faded Saint. Now, as we all know, the glorious fans we have, +6, we have a good and bad show today for you in this case, folks, because of what's more important about anything is the events that happened at Battleground and the following things about Raw. It's been an exciting pay-per-view. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let the Faded Saint talk about how exciting the last 3 pay-per-views that the WWE has been putting on for us that just keeps on changing up the things that we are not expecting as much as we would think so, or at least getting bored of it. But here we go, and start the show with my main man over here, the Faded Saint.
How's it going there? I mean, you can't really complain. And we were talking in pre-show. I completely forgot something in pre-show that we kind of need to go over really quickly. We'll get to that in just 1 second. But how are you doing, Super What? How you doing, Kane?
I'm doing good. We had a little incident with Pappy today in the bathroom, but that's about it. Pappy Snooker's all right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That does not sound good.
Yeah, it was so bad that Jackie asked for a pay raise to take care of the situation.
Oh, well. Oh, Jackie's back from vacation. That's good.
Yes, she is. And you know what? She had a lieu of these notes. She couldn't understand what I was talking about. And I just said, well, every time I thought of you, I just put Jackie on a piece of paper and I just threw it on your table. That's what I did. But enough about me, because we know the fans really don't care about what Super Watt does right every once in a while. They only care about 2 places, the WWE Universe and Suplex City. So let's do it.
And there is Suplex City in spades. And like I said, we were talking on the pre-show because, we're somewhat professional here. We actually do plan this out. But it just dawned on me that when we were doing our pre-show prep, we forgot that we need to mention one thing. We don't need to spend a whole lot of time on it. But obviously, you remember last time we were I was kind of getting burnt out because of the pay-per-view schedule. We had what we determined? 3 pay-per-views in a 4-week span.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Battleground was thankfully 5 weeks away. Was 5 weeks from the last pay-per-view, and trust me, I needed the little thing. But they did give us a little something at 5:30 in the morning on July 4th.
Oh.
They gave us that Beast in the East. Now, we don't need to really talk a whole lot about it because, with the exception of 2 matches, it was mostly forgettable. But 2 matches...
You ain't not kidding, good sir. I can tell you this much, Saint. It was so bad you just reminded me just now about the Beast from the East series in Japan.
I know.
I only have one question for the 6 fans. Who got up at 5:30 in the morning?
Not me. I wasn't up at 5:30 in the morning.
Thank God for the WWE Network, because, man, I would have missed that thing without even knowing.
Oh no! I was in the throes of a ear infection, so I was dead asleep. So, but the only matches that you really need to know happened was Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston. We're all adults here. Pretty much whatever you at home are thinking happened is actually what happened. And then eventually he ended up killing Big E, and he ended up killing Xavier Woods. He killed New Day. That's what he did. That was a thing that happened.
He died.
He died.
You know what happened, though? This is what happened, folks. Apparently, New Day got an envelope in the mail at their house, and it said, hey, I got these coach tickets on this bus to a place called Suplex City. And they're like, oh, we can go on vacation a little bit. Let's visit this place on my coach bus tickets that we got here. And then they got on the bus, and they went to Suplex City, and before they even entered the first mile into the city. The tires break, things explode, it flipped over, and they fell out, and they found the mayor right there, ready with the chainsaw. So it was all cray over there. But I gotta say one thing before we even go about into it. My $1 million question is they made this huge promotional bout about how Brock Lesnar is gonna return since WrestleMania to come and wrestle at Japan's well-known center and fight for the very first time in God knows how long. And they chose Kofi Kingston.
Well, it's not like they were going to spend the money to fly Zack Ryder out there.
Well, I would have gave money to Zack Ryder. I think Zack Ryder would have paid to go to Zack Ryder's match against Brock Lesnar.
I think Zack Ryder's smarter than that. I think Zack Ryder was just like, you know what? Nope. Nope. You got this, Kofi. I'm on your side. All the way over here.
I'll give you. You know what? I bet you that was Zack Ryder's decision on getting those bus tickets. I tell you.
He was just like,
now.
"Oh no, I missed the bus." But the
But
actual,
I do have to agree. It was an exciting match of depth.
right, and the only actual thing that mattered with Beast in the East was Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor, and I'll tell you, these NXT kids just keep cranking out matches which are constantly better than the main roster.
Just a reminder to the fans, folks. Faded Saint could probably say kids because I think he's older than every wrestler that's in NXT as we speak.
I am, actually. I'm older than every wrestler that's in NXT. That makes me sad. I'm older than Michael Cole.
That I did not know.
No, wait, hold on. No, I'm not older than Michael Cole. Well, Michael Cole is in his 40s. I'm younger than Michael Cole.
Well, let's just say you have an amazing soul, good sir.
But yeah, the only reason to watch Beast in the East is to watch the Finn Balor Kevin Owens match, and it was phenomenal. And if you haven't heard, spoiler alert, you knew it was going to happen. Finn Balor over Kevin Owens because Kevin Owens has graduated to the main roster. But you know, we had some weeks of Raw, including the epic. How did you put it? I believe it was the epic 6-year-old girl in a toy store wanting her Barbie hissy fit that Owens threw on the Raw right after when he came out and was just like losing his mind. It was epic. If you've ever wanted to see a grown man over 300 pounds look like a girl who's just been told she can't have a pony, go back and watch that Raw, because that's exactly what happened.
And what's shocking is I think I had to have wrote it down there, Saint, because I can tell you this much. That exactly, I think, is what I said to you.
Well, it was a very distinct comment. And, of course, that gave us one of the great Cesaro matches. But we will talk about Cesaro matches in the second half of the show. Right now, what we need to do is we need to get to the pay-per-view. We need to get to the pre-show. And actually what we need to do is we need to get to a segment. What's that?
Or sometimes how autocorrect puts you, the pre-cook show.
The pre-cook. And we need to get to what's very rapidly becoming a segment on this show. Poor Wade Barrett. Okay, so here's the deal, kids. It was Wade Barrett versus R-Truth again. And it was Wade Barrett winning with the Royal Bullhammer in about 5 minutes. We've seen this match 18 times over the last 2 months.
Except one thing, Vader Saint, the match was something that came right out of the 80s WWF era. It was for the kingship. Who was the king?
You see, I missed that part. That's how little I cared about it. And so rather than talk about the match, we just want to figure out what happened to Wade Barrett. What happened? Who did he sleep with? Who did he piss off? Because he was the Intercontinental Champion. He broke his arm, and he's just never been the same since. He's never gotten the IC belt back, or he did get the IC belt back, but that was a joke. He ended up giving it up to Daniel Bryan. They gave him the kingship. He had 2 good matches with Neville, and then he's just been in mid-card hell since then. Like, seriously, did he sleep with Stephanie? Is that what happened?
Well, rumor has it that he's British.
Oh, all right. Well, enough said there. Okay, and then that will lead us into the pay-per-view proper. in which we got, first off, right out of the gate, we got Orton versus Sheamus.
Now, folks, if you just bear with me for a moment. Now, a lot of us we appreciate Randy Orton, and in this case, I find him to be an interesting, colorful wrestler in the ring, especially with the Viper thing and all that kind of stuff. Pappy Snooker loves him when he drops down. He thinks he's having a seizure every time he talks. But I can tell you this much. It had to be the most mundane match of that night. It was totally unneeded. There was no feud before them. And in this case, when the match occurred, the only reason why people loved the shit out of it, folks, is because we were in the hometown of Randy Orton City.
This is what I think of that match.
That looks good.
For those of you who can't see at home, like Kane can see, I just opened up a beer and started drinking, and that's pretty much what I did with this match. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't actually think Randy Orton has had any mic time since he got decimated by the former members of the Shield a couple of pay-per-views ago. I don't remember him saying anything. I don't remember anyone ever giving him mic time. I don't remember him promoting. I just kind of remember they're just like, by the way, here's a match that's happening. And everyone was like, all right, fair enough. I mean, we don't know if Dolph Ziggler's signing his extension, so we can't do that match. So, hooray. Let's just plug Orton in there.
Well, just to give a little history, folks, the only content that even remotely connects to this match is Randy Orton the night after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view had a match against Kane, and Kane was fighting, and then he got all like weird and pussyfooted and said, I'm going to make this a no DQ match, and that's when Sheamus came out and helped him out and beat him. So apparently that's the only connection to this match that happened, besides the fact that Randy Orton probably ran into Triple H's office and said, hey, we're going to be in my hometown for the pay-per-view, I better be on this, and I'd be like, all right, I'll give you this. I'll give you the first match. And he goes, well, I don't want the first match, I want the time match. I'll give you the first match and a candy bar. Deal. And that's what happened.
Sadly, I can see Randy doing like, ooh, candy bar.
Ooh, a piece of candy.
Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. They probably just led him out to the ring that way.
That's why he does the Viper move when he's on the floor, because he thinks he's going to find Reese's Pieces.
Exactly. He spins around and is like, where's it? Anyway.
Found it.
Anyway, Orton over Sheamus. He was the hometown boy. That is the only reason, because this match was so unremarkable. It was so unremarkable. And then after that, we got a little primer because, and we'll get a little bit more into it. We got a little primer because we were getting an unannounced triple threat Divas match.
Speaking of which, I just want to point out, I was going to say something, and I guess it's perfect to say it now. You know you had a bad match when the women's match was better than yours.
Well, normally we would say that.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're not going to say that this time. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. And trust me, I am tickled pink that I can actually say that. But after that, there was like the little thing where JoJo, which is like what is she, like 4 foot nothing or something? And Steph looked like she was Big Show next to JoJo. The basic gist was we're having a triple threat match. The revolution is continuing, which there was a revolution that started on Raw, and we were so happy for it. So
yes,
happy.
ladies and gentlemen, because you know what? I've been saying this for a while now, and the only way the Divas division is going to be fixed is by injecting more what NXT does. And you know what they decided to do? They decided to give NXT women the matches in the Divas division, because that's what happened there, because we got 3 lovely, talented, beautiful, sensational, I can't say any more words before I can say this coming up, women from the NXT division. We got the good old boy's daughter, Charlotte Flair, the best from Ireland, which is Becky Lynch, and my girl, the boss, Sasha Banks.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So they brought them up on a Raw, and the crowd ate that up. But
and you know, despite Charlotte Flair's music, I think Sasha Banks has the best music of all the divas going on right now.
She does, absolutely. I've got it on my Spotify list.
Oh,
I've got a WWE Spotify list. It's on it. But we digress. Because the next match, after the little primer we got for that, and we'll explain a little bit later as to why we got this match, it was we got the Primetime Players versus the New Day.
Oh yeah.
I think you're the only one that claps along.
I think I'm the only one that actually does. Only because I have to. Because when Kofi Kingston comes out, I still think of him as a little schoolgirl with that little ponytail,
God, what is with that?
Rastafarian look he does. I don't know. That I just know that it's adorable, and since he's willing to entertain you with that hairdo, I'm gonna give him the chance and do it for him.
You know, I really hate to be this guy, but the best thing to happen to the tag team division was one of the Usos going down with an injury. Because I have loved watching the New Day be the tag team champions and being like the chicken shit champions. I have loved watching the Primetime Players actually getting a shot to run with the ball. Like Titus O'Neil, like the match before this pay-per-view, or the Raw before this pay-per-view, when he was on commentary and just heckling the crap out of JBL was one of the most hilarious things I've seen on Raw in forever. Like,
and it's just so potent that what's great about that Primetime Players is the synergy. I think that they have the best synergy I've ever seen in a tag team champion in a while.
I have to agree with you, and we do need to give some props to the unsung hero of this match, and that is Xavier Woods. As you pointed out while we were talking during the match, because as I said, we get on an instant messenger and we talk during the matches. We kind of keep up with what's going on, and just his mannerisms and just everything he was saying and the way he was yelling, he played that so well. He added such a great dimension to that match, and
he's kind of like the manager that never gets named manager. That's how I look at him.
Absolutely.
Because it's always Kofi Kingston and Big E defending those belts more than Xavier Woods. And every time Xavier Woods is on the sidebar, I feel like he's like taking the truest form of Jimmy Hart and just coming out there with the loudest mouth you can ever hear. One of my favorite things I remember, folks, is that like a couple of Raws back when they decided to do this weird angle where Neville was fighting off Xavier Woods, and they had this like tag team match going where it was Neville and the Primetime Players versus New Day. I remember in the distinct background hearing from the camera, off camera, Xavier Woods going, "Gravity's going to find you, Neville. Gravity's going to find you."
That's gimmick infringement. That is gimmick infringement, because I have been saying Gravity has been ducking out of the back door for what? Ever since Neville showed up in the main roster.
Well, yours is about him running away. Gravity is about looking for him like he's part of some manhunt.
Yeah, true enough. But, I mean, it was Primetime Players over the New Day. This was a well-done tag team match. The story of the match was basically Darren Young, after a hot start, got in trouble, spent most of the match getting beaten down by Kofi and Big E. And then Titus O'Neil getting the hot tag in, clearing house, and doing the Clash of Titus for the win.
I have to say, even though Titus O'Neil is definitely the winning victor of these matches, the real MVP definitely goes to Darren Young, because he does a really good job in these rings.
Oh,
he is phenomenal.
He can sell Ricky Morton like nobody's business.
I reckon.
So that led us into kind of a curious match, which, of course, the next match was Bray, I'm coming after your kids, Wyatt, versus Roman. There is nothing, because he has no personality, really, Reigns.
The most blamed face I've ever seen when he's angry.
Right?
I feel like he had plastic surgery and like he was sleeping and someone did plastic surgery on his face, because he has no expression.
When they let him just be him, he's good. But when they script him, you can tell they're scripting him, because it's the most god-awful thing in the world. Now, as my colleague rightfully pointed out, we didn't really expect much of this match, because Bray has not had a really great pay-per-view record and a feud record. And the build-up to this match was fun. It was intriguing. It was really, really kind of creepy to watch. There were actually points where, like, I went back to, you remember the Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Dominic, I'm Your Poppy angle where like
Mhm.
Eddie was like so good at playing a bad guy, it kind of felt dirty. I would like go take a shower after SmackDown because I'm like, okay, that's a little much, Eddie. You need
Well,
to back off.
first things first. You actually you explained two rare moments in one conversation without even noticing. One, a good Eddie Guerrero heel, and two, you watching SmackDown.
I know, right? Back in the day, SmackDown 6, buddy. That's the way it was.
But I gotta say this one thing real quick now. I feel like this match was a little bit too much like Roman Reigns and his expressionless match face, and Bray Wyatt rewatching too much of Cape Fear over and over again.
you know, I think I need to find a meme that like has like match face or like find like a picture of like Roman Reigns and like they do Manning face for the NFL. Because you know both Mannings like make the same face when they're frustrated. You like do Manning face, like do match face, and put that over
You know
Roman
what?
Reigns.
You know what? You just made $1 billion website. Some kid in like some university is gonna make matchface.com.
God,
and it's just
cut
you
us
just
in.
did it.
Cut us in for a
I
little
swear
bit.
to internet, the YouTube channel has this documented. If matchface comes out of nowhere,
We know where it
we're
came
coming
from.
for you.
But we didn't expect this much out of this match, just because of the people who were in it. And the beginning of the match really kind of proved us right. We weren't really that into the match. But as it got towards the end, they started picking it up. And the ending was actually pretty interesting, which I called a little while ago. The end of the match saw Luke Harper come in and interfere to help Bray get the win, which I'm happy because I know Eric Rowan is injured, and I hope he can come back because I do like Eric Rowan. I think they need to give him a shot. But Luke Harper is an excellent worker, and he hasn't been doing crap in the last 5 weeks.
And you know what? I got to give you props too, Fade Saint. You have been saying for a while now that they need to bring the family back together, and I guess someone listened.
Bray Wyatt works best like when they put him in the role like Raven had in old school ECW or old WCW, when he's got a group of people around that he can exert a cult-like influence over. That's where Bray Wyatt works. That is his wheelhouse. That is his sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
But
now another thing is, you know how like when you go to a diner, you get a soup or a sandwich, or sometimes you do the half a soup, half a sandwich kind of situation. I feel like that's what's going to happen right now when it comes to this family here. It's only going to be half of the Wyatt family, and maybe, just maybe, half of the Shield in this situation.
well, we'll get to that. That's going to be in the second half because
Yeah. But I figured I'd give you a little tantalizing prediction just in the middle of this situation.
Oh no, I like it. And that was pretty much the match. Bray Wyatt over Roman Reigns, thanks to a assist from Luke Harper. I still don't think he's washed that shirt since he's been wrestling. But anyway,
I think that's actually printed on.
God, that's disgusting.
Just
No.
the only thing I have to say this much. Just
No.
imagine if that was the shirt being sold. Just imagine you go to a place and you don't want the red over shirt that he has with his symbol on it. No, you want that sweaty ass shirt that he wears.
Oh God, stop.
With authentic
No.
smell.
No. Anywho, so next, and this is the thing that we were the most excited about. Now, when we found out back when JoJo and Steph with her proclamation announced that there was going to be a triple threat Divas match. For those of you who are keeping track at home, the way this is shaped loose is there are 3 Diva factions. There is Team Bad, which I forget what it stands for, but it's stupid. But basically, it's Naomi, China, Junior, and
Folks, just because Jack is the only one who's the #1 fan, she keeps telling me it stands for beautiful and dangerous.
Is that what it stands for?
Mm-hmm. I'll ask again, Jackie! John, don't turn me that way about it. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, he's saying beautiful and dangerous. She got sassy with me this time, but I'll let it slide.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think she took too much of Team Bad into consideration
that's
here.
really stupid. Anyway, it's Naomi, who neither of us like what her new gimmick. It's China Junior, a.k.a. Tamina Snuka, and
I think that's
Sasha
the dangerous
Banks, who is the only person in that group I'm interested in. And then group number 2 is, of course, Paige, who is now getting an assist from Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Which Becky, is it just me, or is Becky Lynch like channeling her inner Edge with her new look? I really like it. I really dig it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bella Empire, which is of course Brie Bella, Nikki Bella,
And
who is
Uncle
our
Tom.
Divas champion, and Alicia Fox, who is there. She's there, yeah, and I'm for that. But this is actually what we have here, Kane. We have
Sorry to sound a little racy here, folks, but I know. But I have to say, I feel like Leash Fox's character role is kind of like an Uncle Thomas kind of situation going on in that situation because she makes no sense in the group, and I pray that they actually utilize her next time a lot better.
She's a great wrestler. I don't get it. But here's the thing with it. I'm for it if it gives the NXT women, and we've actually got a first here. This is a women's match that is not a bathroom break. This is a women's match that we can actually get behind. They got, what did we clock it at? We clocked it at about 11 and a half minutes.
It
Little
didn't
bit
even
more
matter.
than?
It could have been. You know what? I gotta tell you this much. This is where I have to oppose on that bathroom break conversation. Because even if it was 2 minutes, that match was beautifully well done. I've seen a
Well, no,
lot of
I'm
triple
saying it
threat
wasn't
women's-
I'm saying it wasn't a bathroom break, and this is the first time we've had a women's match that wasn't a bathroom break that we've talked about outside of on the main roster.
But my point is that it's definitely matter if it was 11 minutes or 2 minutes. Didn't matter. So it was that well done.
Yes, it was. It was. I absolutely 100% agree about you, and I could not be happier. It ended up being that each team got to pick someone, and it ended up being Charlotte versus Brie Bella versus Sasha Banks. And Charlotte ended up coming up on top with that, with the figure 8. And, but, you know, pretty much the story of the beginning of the match was beat up Brie Bella, throw her out of the ring, let Sasha and Charlotte go. And, oh my God, did that work. Did that work?
Not only did it work, but I felt like I was watching an NXT pay-per-view the whole time. I could tell you this much. When it comes to everything going on here, Faded Saint, everything that has been happening when it comes to the story arc of NXT and how it's injected into the WWE Universe right now definitely has shown how much faith they have with the NXT girls, that they're willing to inject them into the Divas Universe just to make that a better quality division.
Well, you know, many of the stars, like Mick Foley, I follow Mick Foley on Facebook, and Mick Foley is such a huge supporter of the Divas. Like, every other day, he's talking about how much this needs to happen, and how much these girls from NXT need to be on the main roster. It goes so far as Brie, who I was actually happy that she was in the match. I know we haven't necessarily come off as the Bella's biggest fans, but there was a piece of video. It was either from this Comic-Con or it was from one of the conventions that happened, where somebody actually asked Brie on camera, in front of a room full of people, you know, what she thought of NXT. And she said, point blank, if I were in NXT, I would not want to come to the main roster. And that apparently started all of this. And I applaud Brie Bella for that. And I think she deserved it. Now, in the second half of the match, she really came in. You got some Lady Bryant kind of moments in there where she was doing Daniel's kicks. You know, it was a really...
Despite the audience's engagement to it, it was great.
Yeah,
Every time you would kick, instead of saying yes, they said no. It was a beautiful thing.
It was awesome. It was a wonderful match. It was very easily the best match on the card until the next match happened. And, well, we're going to get to the next match, well, right now. Unless you have anything else to say about the women's match, because I mean, it was phenomenal. You owe yourself to watch the show to watch that match.
Well, I gotta say, folks, last time we had the Super Show, we made a purposeful comment about why we joke so much about the Divas division, and how we prefer, if we could, to tell you the best matches that the women's division in NXT has done, and the fact that when it comes to how we joke so hard on them that they're not worth watching on Raw or even on pay-per-views. But I had to tell you this much, folks. This pay-per-view, these past couple Raws, including the one we're going to talk about in the second half of the show, is the most exciting I've ever seen from any of women wrestling situations ever. It's definitely worth it.
I concur. I absolutely concur, and I could not be happier, because if you remember, I was talking I was talking on the Super Show how when I went to Raw, I was timing the match that I saw on Superstars, and they couldn't even get 4.5 minutes on Superstars for a match, and just the entirety of it. I am so happy this match happened, and I really, really, really hope this trend continues. But that brings us in to Kevin Owens versus John Cena, Part 3. This one is actually for the U.S. title.
Yeah, about that.
You've cooled off about it. I have not.
I have. Folks, this is probably the first time I would say I'm a little speechless. And mostly because of the fact that I had so much faith in Kevin Owens, and so little faith came from Faded Saint on how the fact that it was going to turn into a Ruseffing situation of 2 out of 3, where Cena still wins. I just, you know what? I think I found God, and I just let it go, and we just let it happen. Because when it comes to how everything goes about it, the next half of the show, I'm going to be more irate about John Cena's current situation than it is about that match on Battleground. Please give it away, Faded Saint. I'm going to give you the ability to talk to the Americas in this breakdown's Cena Union address.
I had to take a swig of my beer. That's how disgusted I am right now. See, here's the thing. The Rusev thing was annoying because they had one really great match, and then they had 3 really crappy matches, but John Cena won all of them. I remember talking straight up about the first John Cena KO match. I remember sitting right there, and right when Kevin Owens won, I remember, and Kane will back me up here, I remember sitting there and going, no way, no fucking way did they just give Owens the win in that match. There is no way they just gave him a clean win over Superman John Cena. And then, almost as if a reflex after that, I said, he is going to pay for that. Oh, is he going to pay? And predictably, the next pay-per-view, he lost, which is against another amazing match. And it's amazing what 2 people can do when they don't have to have a stupid gimmick attached. Not naming any names, but Texas Bull Rope match, submission. Texas Bull Rope match, we're looking directly at you for that one. I Quit match, we're also looking directly at you for that. The chemistry between John Cena and Kevin Owens is so great. I have enjoyed watching each of their 3 matches. I could watch, as opposed to Bad News Barrett and R-Truth, I could watch 15 more of those matches, and I would probably be very happy. But the ending of that match, clean tap out by Kevin Owens in the middle of the ring. I can't. There's no reason. I mean, I knew he was going to pay. I knew he was going to lose. I knew he wasn't going to get the title. I knew he wasn't going to beat Superman. You can't beat Superman. You can't. But I knew it was going to happen, but still. God, what is going through their heads? What is going through their heads? Like, could you find a way to just bury Owens even further than you did with that? It's not like he got pinned. It's not like it was murky. It's not like it was a dusty finish. He tapped in the middle of the ring of his own volition. And that just kills it. It's 2-1 Cena now, and I'm fully expecting that Cena's going to win the next encounter that they go up against him with, because if you're going to beat Cena on a pay-per-view, you got to give him 3 in return.
Very, very, very true there, good sir. And I gotta tell you this much, Fadetain. I would have been in the
I'm
same
drinking.
boat with you. I definitely would have been in the same boat with you if I didn't believe that Kevin Owens was a rising star and that this match is not going to ruin him. Because I could tell you this much: when it comes to Kevin Owens, he's a great on the mic. We love his banter about whatever he says, his talking down methods, his irrational defense about family. He
He's
sounds
the
like the good.
meanest Canadian I've ever seen.
You're damn right he is. You're damn right. I remember one time I sent him a letter, and it was about how he could come over for dinner, and Pappy Snook was gonna make her his famous rump roast. Yeah, you know what I got back in that letter? A letter with blood on it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
So
know. And
I don't know either.
you know,
I don't,
and I hope you're right. I hope you are. I think he has the talent to get through it. He's main roster now. As I pointed out at that pay-per-view, he doesn't get the NXT thing anymore like he did in the previous two when underneath his Tron in the entrance ramp. He actually has a Kevin Owens thing in his entrance ramp thing.
the women of the NXT universe got a faster banner than he did. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because even Charlotte and Sasha Banks had their own banner run.
Which, big ups to them. But I mean, time will tell. Because Rusev should have done better than he did, and you could argue that he broke his leg and that's what put him out. But they really did not set that dude up for success. It's going to depend on what they do with him.
I can tell you this much: he's not longer going barefoot when he's wrestling anymore.
Yeah, but you go from, a program with John Cena, and now you're in a program with Dolph Ziggler, which up until a couple of weeks ago, he may or may not have still been in the company because he wasn't sure he was signing an extension. You trade Lana for Summer Rae, and yeah, no. So time will tell what will happen with Kevin Owens. If he's on the next pay-per-view in a compelling match, things are looking up. If he's not on the next pay-per-view, well, things aren't looking so good. But we'll see how that pans out.
Mm-hmm.
Brief blurb. The reason why we got a women's match, because there was not one originally scheduled, but there was originally scheduled a three-way for the Intercontinental Championship, which was The Miz versus The Big Show versus our champion, the most boring champion we have had in a while, Ryback. And Ryback, I feel bad for him. He got a staph infection. I can't be mad at him for that. Staph infections are no joke. An undiagnosed staph infection is the reason why we don't have Chris Candido anymore. But we were supposed to have an Intercontinental Championship match, and honestly, I think the show was better without it. I think this little thing where Miz came out and whined and cried that he was about to beat Big Show and Ryback and become the Intercontinental Championship, and then Big Show's music hits and Big Show just walks out, and Miz is begging off while he's walking down the aisle, but pretty much Big Show just walked straight into the ring, knocked him out, walked straight out. The entire segment was 2 minutes, maybe 3?
Hell, that was probably going to happen in the match anyway.
Pretty much. I mean, and it was perfect right there. That's all you needed for the palate cleanser,
Well,
right there.
I could tell you right now, Ryback is my new Jesus because without Ryback, there would have not been a great women's match.
And Ryback, we salute you for that. I mean, seriously, don't die or anything, and get better. Seriously, we hope you get better. But thanks for letting us have a women's match. And
But you know what though? Here's what I'm confused about. Well, not confused. My little conspiracy theory, I would say. What is with someone winning the Intercontinental Championship one pay-per-view, and then the next pay-per-view over has an injury or an issue where they can't compete in the match?
It's the curse of Wade Barrett coming to get you. I
hope not. I really hope
I
not.
can. Hope I can make that sound better in post. Probably not. Anyway, which brought us to our main event, which was Seth Rollins without J&J security because Brock Lesnar had killed them and their car and a fan with their car, and without Kane, who had his ankle crushed, versus Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. Now, I don't know about you, but me, the way this match was scripted, I was getting flashbacks to SummerSlam, and you said this. This match can only end in one of two ways. And because of that, that really just kind of takes me out of the match. Because the only way this match was going to end was Seth cheating in order to win, or to at least retain his title, or Brock pulling a SummerSlam last year and just having a 16-minute main event squash.
Complete brain dead. Yep.
I mean, we were joking around about like work stuff, like when instead of paying attention to the match. I mean, the match was all right, but I mean, if you watched SummerSlam last year, it was the same thing. The only difference was Seth is a little bit more athletic than John, and he had a couple of really nice hope spots, but that's about it. But then a thing happened. Now, depending on who you ask, there are three prevalent fan theories as to what happened. One is that when a certain someone appeared, he disintegrated the referee and the Seth Rollins, because we sure as hell didn't see them, and it wasn't until Raw the next day that we saw them and we actually confirmed they were still alive. Two was Seth Rollins cast a summon spell. And three, which I know is your personal favorite,
Oh yeah.
is that, Seth Rollins is much like the superhero in the DC Universe, Shazam. You hear the bong, and he becomes the Undertaker.
Well,
Because-
the correct. Now, good sir, I just want to let you know, it's Captain Marvel, and he says Shazam, and then turns into Captain Marvel. Just
True
li-
enough.
just
True enough.
just a little fact check. That's all.
Actually, his official name is Shazam because of some copyright things with Marvel. But I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, totally. He's supposed to be Captain Marvel, but they have to call him Shazam on the cover for legal reasons. But yeah, so pretty much at the end of the match, after I think they said 13 suplexes and an F5, he goes to pin Seth Rollins. You hear the gong. Lights go down. You hear the gong again. And there is The Undertaker looking like Brock Lesnar just slept with his daughter.
Or a strongly desired prison rape.
Oh, I sat there and I remember saying, he looks mad. And he just proceeded to beat the crap out of Brock Lesnar. And we got not one, but two tombstone pile drivers. The crowd wanted three. They were asking for one more. But they didn't get one. And then that is how we ended the pay-per-view. And I'll give it to him. I didn't see that coming. The Undertaker showing up was worth watching the match by itself. That was the only reason to watch the match. Hooray, Undertaker.
And the reason why we all worried about Seth Rollins and the referee is because literally, when the Undertaker popped back up, it was just him and Lesnar in the ring.
Yeah, you didn't see it. Yeah, they were gone. It was like
Yeah.
it was like they weren't even like under the ring. They weren't even on the side of the ring. And I believe it was you who said it. Paul's face, and this is just a testament to how good of an actor Paul Heyman is. Paul's face said it all. Paul looked like, oh shit, it's gone down.
We done fucked.
We done fucked. That was pretty much the pay-per-view. I'm gonna mention one thing before we get to our letter grade of the pay-per-view, and I'm not gonna name any names, but WWE.com. I'm looking at you here. If you're going to put up quote-unquote exclusive footage of Brock reacting after the pay-per-view went off the air, have him react. Don't have him just shaking his head like he has a concussion and slowly walking up the aisle. That was 5 minutes of my life, WWE.com, that I do not get back. And I begrudge you for that. I begrudge you so much for that. I want to just
And you broke Faded Saints' rule of a 2-drink minimum that night.
During the break, I'm going to get another drink because I'm going to need one. But okay, well, I mean, that was Battleground 2015, and what do you think, Kane? Letter grade, A through F. What do you think?
I have to say, I have to give it a B. B plus at best. And the reason why I'm saying that now is mostly because of the women's match. That was so beautifully well done. It carried the main event. The fact that Undertaker showed up and is now creating a buzz in the W Universe is also a big deal to me. And we did have a really good tag team match that night. So I'm giving it a B plus. It would have gotten an A if we didn't have Kevin Owens losing so bad in such a whizzly way. If we didn't have Randy Orton match that we didn't need at all. And, of course, if Ryback did come in just to see a belt change, because no belt was changed over that night.
No, it wasn't. It's weird because we've kind of switched places. Like in the middle of the Super Show, we switched places because normally you're the optimistic one and I'm the pessimistic one. But I'm going to go A minus, and here's why. Because with the exception of the stupid pre-show, which I could have done without, the one match which I was about, the crowd was into, and they put over the hometown boy and Randy Orton. I'm very into the primetime players winning and keeping it up. I thought that Bray and Roman Reigns in the second half of their match really kind of made up. I am absolutely freaking ecstatic for that women's match. I honestly would not have cared who won, just because they got they got enough time to have a good match, and they had such a good match. Despite the fact that Kevin Owens lost when he should have won, if you take that 5 seconds where Kevin Owens tapped at the end of the match, the rest of it was golden. I'm always a fan of Miz getting knocked out, and the Undertaker showing up off-season for an appearance that's going to actually turn into something pushes it over the edge. Like I said, I'm going with A minus.
See, I don't think I was pessimistic because B plus and A minus are not far apart from each other.
No, they're really not. But like I said, usually you go high and I go low.
I'll give you that.
So,
but I did quite enjoy it quite often, and I really, really hope that they do have this revolution for the women's division, because I have to say, watching women fight was always a good thing in life, but watching women really do well fighting in a good style makes it even better.
Absolutely. Well, and that will bring us to about the halfway point. We got a good 45 minutes in there, so that's nice. I'm enjoying that. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Raw. We're going to see if we can fit in a little thing at the end of the show there, but mostly we're going to talk about Raw. We're going to talk about where we think what's going to happen with SummerSlam, and that kind of stuff. And we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Alrighty, folks. See you in a moment.
On behalf of Kane Snooker and myself, we would like to thank Ben Sound for providing our opening and closing themes. This week, we have got a mashup of Umaga and Rusev. No title with this one, but it's by Eric Minnesota. Check it out. He's one of the guys that the WWE actually takes some stuff from for their mashups. So, enjoy.
Rusev Fudria, Rusev Machka.
And welcome back to Off the Ropes. He is Kane Super What Snooker. I am your boy, Kami the Faded Saint. And this week's episode is brought to you once again by Suplex City. Mayor Lesnar would like you to come to Suplex City. Apparently he wasn't too happy with the last crop of tourists, and really, seriously, he wants you to come to Suplex City. You don't want to make Mayor Lesnar mad. Don't do it. But, well, we've gone over the pay-per-view at this point, Kane, and now we've got Raw, we've got a few predictions, we've got a few other little things to go through here, and we've said what we've had to say about the pay-per-view, and the Raw the next night, I have to say, they just picked up the ball and they kept on going, didn't they?
I think so, and I can tell you this much. Raw, as far as a Raw goes, it was one of the better Raws after a pay-per-view that I've seen in a while. And mainly because they literally decided to say, like I was watching Godzilla all over again. I was just watching. One of my favorite parts of that whole thing on Raw was when they addressed the situation of Brock Lesnar and Undertaker, and the fact that Paul Heyman was trying to ubiquitously undermine the Undertaker. Undertaker coming out, almost choking the crap out of Heyman, and we were alluded that Lesnar was not there that night, to come out and run right into the middle of the ring and beat the smack out of the Undertaker and back and forth. All I kept on saying was, let them fight. Because they had to bring out the entire WWE roster and security, and I think my grandmother was there to take care of this, Nanny Snooker, just to stop them from fighting. They did it for 15 minutes.
It was a 2-segment Raw. It was very Attitude Era-esque. But and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I think we're missing an unsung hero of that entire segment. Now, I don't know what exactly happened, but like for those of you who didn't watch Raw, pretty much what happened was at the beginning of the show, The Undertaker came out and said, you beat me, fair enough. And then you kept saying over and over again how you beat me. And it started to annoy me. And then you wouldn't stop for 18 months. So now I'm pretty pissed, and now I'm going to come and beat the crap out of you, and you're going to learn respect.
And I'm going to have lunch on your face.
Yeah. And pretty much Trips was just like, Paul, don't you bring Brock. So Paul shows up, and he's like, I'm just going to say what Brock wants me to say. Is that cool? And Trips and Steph are like, all right. And then they had that scene. You know what scene I'm talking about, don't you, Kane?
Oh, yeah.
When they brought all the people back. Man, there were people I have not seen in forever in there.
There was, when I said the whole roster, we're talking about people that have been like wrestling we haven't seen in 5-10 years, decided to say, hey, I like this part. Can I be in this part for $10?
I swear to God, some of these people have been relegated to Heat, and Heat has not been a show on television in 10 years. Like what?
I was expecting Tajiri out of nowhere.
Hey, Tajiri is like serious business over in Japan. I follow him on Twitter. Like, he is serious business.
Wait, he could do English on Twitter?
Twitter translates for me, but yeah, for the most part. But anyway, but I mean, they had Heath Slater showed back up. Brad Maddox, who I have not seen since he was the GM of Raw 2.5 years ago, showed back up. In that, like the Hurt Uso showed up, like everyone who was on the roster, and they just basically said, by the way, if Brock Lesnar shows up, you guys are going to be pulling them apart. And like the locker room as a whole, and when I say the locker room as a whole, the locker room minus Seth Rollins, John Cena, and a couple of other guys.
The important people of the night.
Yeah, the actual people who can say, I'm not going to be in this segment.
But you know who did show up for that?
Who did?
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, Kevin Owens showed up. Randy Orton didn't show up, but Kevin Owens showed up.
They were probably all in their trailers outside the arena.
I'm surprised CM Punk didn't show up, but anywho, and like everyone's like, I ain't doing that, and like the authority was all, we're not asking, we're telling you. And so Paul Heyman comes out and proves why Paul Heyman is Paul Heyman, and he just sits there and he's like, hooray for you. You decided you were going to come back, but now you've pissed off the Beast because you've taken away the title from him. You interfered in his match. And then he went like on a 5-minute tirade where he just repeated over and over again, my client, Brock Lesnar, is the 1 in 21-1. He beat the streak, and he has owned your ass for the last 18 months. And then, of course, like someone saying Shazam, bong, there's the lights going out, bong, there's the Undertaker, and give credit to Paul. He didn't even try and fight. He just dropped down to his knees and said, please, I have kids. Please, I'm just the advocate. And then the best moment of the night happened next. Now, we were talking about this in our little prep in between while you guys were listening to whatever I decided to throw on there for the mashup. But this is how I saw things. Undertaker is about to kill Paul Heyman right in the middle of the ring. Like, just kill him with his bare hands. And that would have been ratings. But then you hear, like, that little guitar riff. And then all I hear is Michael Cole go, you guys! He...
Team Rocket blasting off again.
He noped the fuck out of there.
His exact words were, "We gotta get out of here." Like the black guy in a horror movie. He's like, "Oh shit, we're getting out of here."
Like you heard the headset drop. I swear to God, if the camera had been pointed in that direction where you could have seen it, you would have just seen the headphones just spinning around in the air and then just drop. I swear to God, he was in the nosebleed section before Brock Lesnar actually stepped out on stage.
He was in the no zone.
But Brock comes out. And then we get a 2-segment brawl of just the two of them beating the crap out of one another. And then security comes out, and they start beating the crap out of security so they can get at each other. And then everyone else who is not important comes out. And you've got, like, them pulling them apart. You've got, like, R-Truth and, like, the Primetime Players and the New Day. And you've got, like, Kevin Owens and just... everyone. The Lucha Dragons were out there. Like I said, Heath Slater and Brad Maddox were out there. I'm trying to think of everyone who was out there, and they were just keeping them apart and not doing a very good job. In fact, my favorite part of that whole exchange was when they were brawling outside of the ring. Did you notice? And you had to have a really keen ear to do it. Brock Lesnar at one point where they're brawling when they were brawling around the ramp, yells at the Undertaker's, "I'm going to kill you."
Yes, exactly.
And then the Undertaker says, like, I don't know, yelling back, "You're gonna have to." And I'm like, oh, ha, 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 ha. And then we go to commercial.
Oh, yeah.
And then the announcers still haven't shown back up when we get back. And they're brawling in the back. They're brawling to the point that they end up, like, I don't know if they actually arrested him, but they put him in the zip tie Brock Lesnar in the zip tie cuffs. The Undertaker was off, and it was just like, okay, well, that was an entertaining 30 minutes. And that set up for our main event of SummerSlam. They can say something else as the main event. They're fooling themselves.
Well, I gotta say this much. I was really hoping that during that situation with Brock Lesnar, that he was gonna go, and while he was being held back, go full beast on them and just ravish those people.
I was
and
waiting for it too.
A body of there's just a body of wrestlers on the floor, and Undertaker and him still fighting up the ramp.
I completely agree. I was expecting that too. And that would have been awesome if, like, he and the Undertaker had just brawled straight out of the arena to, like, an Applebee's next door and just, like, taking everybody out along the way.
Just imagine. We're going to Applebee's and I'm going to kill you there.
We're going to get some riblets and then we're going to keep fighting.
Why? Now, here's the thing. Why is Undertaker doing some Batman voice now just to get his point across and stuff? You notice that when he was talking about his vignette in the video?
Yeah, that's always been his voice, though. He's always been the rest in peace. Swear to me.
Yeah, that's the one, man. He was just all in that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Paul Bearer isn't there anymore to, kind of offset it. So I guess he's got to compensate somehow.
Which, by the way, we were all concerned about too, because when we were thinking of Battleground and how we thought my favorite theory of him Shazamming, the realistic one we thought was the summoning one. I thought they were going to go into some weird cross story where they just pulled a storyline out of Raw vs. SmackDown 2006 video game where that Seth Rollins comes out of nowhere with this urn and says, "I've been controlling the Undertaker the whole time." Ooh, ha, ha, ha,
That's
ha.
old school. I remember that storyline where you're teaming with Eddie Guerrero against The Undertaker, and Eddie just happened to have stolen the urn. That
Yeah.
would have been such a badass storyline back in the
Speaking
day.
of which, momentary of awkwardness. That video game happened just before he died, and they didn't release till after he died.
Yeah.
And it was the situation with the Undertaker every time in that storyline would choke slam him into a coffin and close the coffin.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Okay.
bad.
But
That
I
bad.
mean, that by itself was worth the price of admission for Raw. There was some other stuff that happened on Raw too. Like for example, the fact that we got not one but two women's matches, and one of those women's matches actually went 2 segments, went over the 15-minute mark. It was absolutely amazing.
It was pandemonium in
It
my
was
house.
what was
The
it?
house
It
snooker was pandemonium.
wasn't it Becky Lynch versus
Sasha Banks.
No, Sasha
was
Banks
Brie
was
versus-
Sasha Banks was in the three-way. Sasha Banks won the second match. The first match, I believe, was Becky versus.
No, good sir. It was Charlotte versus Brie on Raw.
Was it? Because I thought Becky Lynch won the first match, and then
good sir, we are on the land of the Googles. You can find out right now.
okay,
It
well,
is-
that's
it
going to
is
be a thing that we're
Charlotte-
about to find out right now. I'm
See,
gonna.
you got Google, I got Jackie. That's how it works.
I've got Siri, but nobody wants Siri.
Nobody talks about Siri.
Nobody talks about Siri. God, Siri's gotten mean in the last couple of weeks, hasn't she?
You gone sassy.
But anywho, let's see. No, I don't care about that. You are correct. It was Charlotte versus Brie Bella,
And then it was a tag team.
and Charlotte
where-
came out on top with that one. It was about 8 minutes long. Charlotte won against Brie with the figure eight.
Which I want to get into real quick because the next match for the women was a tag team match. It was Bad versus the Becky Lynch and Paige. It
You're right.
was, and in this case, I noticed something with the Divas. They
Oh?
can't handle the NXT women's submission holds that they're putting on them. Like a second into the figure eight, they're tapping out. Second into the bank statement, they're tapping out. What is going on? These girls the NXT girls could take submissions like they're in the middle of birthing.
Well, I'm not going to comment on the figure eight because I'm not sure how much that back arch really kind of helps out the figure four. But that bank statement looks painful.
She bends the bitch. Bends her bitch
She
hard.
bends her back. That
And,
is
and the fact that she does the move before the bank part,
the backstabber. Yeah.
is
That-
like religion and a half right there.
But they're definitely putting over the NXT chicks. I mean, they're being very careful. Becky did not lose that match. Paige is the one who tapped out to the bank statement. Brie tapped to the figure eight, thanks to Charlotte. Obviously, the WWE is understanding that these three women, and it's too bad that Bayley's got a broken hand because I would be remiss to say that that Bayley would be in there with them. Although I think they're
I know that you're not much of a fan of watching NXT on the fly, but I watch it every Wednesday just to make sure how my girl's doing. So let you know, Bayley's back and she had a match that night on NXT. And right after that match beating Emma, she made a statement saying that I want the best going on, so I want Charlotte Flair, and that was her call out for her.
I understand that they've booked Bayley for the Brooklyn NXT match against Sasha Banks for the title. I think they're going to hand off the title, and they're going to make those three main roster, and and Bailey is going to take over as champion.
And they're just going to deal with Emma and Eva Marie and all the bad leftover NXT women that are going to have to get up their game to be where they're at now.
You know, I'm not a big fan of Eva Marie on the main roster, but she's been working with Brian Kendrick. I'm willing to give her a chance since she's wanted to ply her craft. But the two women's matches were phenomenal. They basically accounted for probably about 30 minutes worth of time. But when you're talking about a 3-hour show, 3-hour and 15-minute show, you know, being able to account for roughly, what is it, about a sixth of the show, I'll take it. I'll take it all day long. It's better than what they've got. And I hope this keeps up. I will point out that conspicuous by her absence is Tamina is not wrestling.
She wasn't really good at it anyway because we had her try out in this universe before and in 2014, and she's just one of those big hunky brawler bitches. That's all.
I really think we could replace her with somebody else, and that would.
She is a replaceable candidate. Yep.
I feel bad. I feel bad saying that because of her family lineage, but I haven't seen anything impressive out of her. I wish I had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even with Nikki Bella, you can argue that she's got some really big, strong, powerful moves like her boyfriend John Cena. You can argue that Brie has learned a good deal from Daniel Bryant, but I don't see the upside to Tamina.
Folks, I just want to let you know I purposely do not correct the Faded Saint when he says Daniel Bryant, but it's just fun to hear him say it. That's why I don't say Daniel Bryan when I do it.
Well, we all know that for some reason or another, the people at WWE got dyslexic because he is Bryan Danielson. Not naming any names, but Vince, seriously, who are you fooling with that one? No one. So that will bring us to the only other real thing that happened, and just like he ceded the floor for me during the "You Can't Beat Superman" segment of the show earlier. Well, we had the thing with Cena and Rollins, and that got your dander up, didn't it?
Yes, it got me so ravenous over this that I still to this day don't understand what the big deal is that they needed to do it. And now I think I had a moment to reflect. I talked to Pappy, I talked to Jackie, and then we talked about it a little bit more over kosher food, and it felt really good to talk about it after what we said. And here's what I a little bit peeved off about. So I'm going to address America one more time about what's happening here in the WWE Universe. Now, America, I know it's split. We know we love Cena, and we know we hate Cena. Most of the time, the kids love the Cena. Most of the time, the boys and girls that grew up in the 90s watching wrestling hate the Cena. I am a little bit of both. I hate the Cena, and I love the Cena. I love him for wrestling. I hate his gimmick. And I gotta say this.
The precious.
I do. He's my Gollum and Schmeagol at one shot. And I can tell you this much. When it comes to him, I get it. I get why Seth Rollins was your next choice. You are trying to find some way for a totalment of fans to love John Cena, because nobody more hated right now is Seth Rollins. And I'm telling you right now, America, if for some reason you are head over heels about Seth Rollins during this vignette, during this feud before SummerSlam, then I must tell you right now, you should reconsider John Cena as a main guy, even a wrestler anymore. Because if people hate him so much that the most hated person gets to become a face in the eyes of the audience, then we know we got a problem about that. Because right now, we're going to have a bullshit pay-per-view title match. I'd rather rewatch a rematch of Lesnar versus Rollins before I watch any match where Rollins gets to fight off John Cena. Because I feel like John Cena is some kind of like primal age rare beast that they hunt for in, like, we got to find the Cena. We got to find the Cena. And when they do, it's like, sure, you could beat me, but I'm coming back at you 4 times, and I'm going to win, like, all 4 of them, and I'm going to look like I won, and in a glorious motion of 5 moves of death, and that's it. But at this point, I'm rambling on. I don't think I got any more to say about how feuded I am, about how they're going to waste a pay-per-view over nothing, over 2 of the most uncharismatic wussy outs. And the worst part about it is Seth Rollins is not afraid of John Cena like he was Brock Lesnar. He's like, yeah, sure, do what you got to do, you little pipsqueak in the corner. Enjoy your U.S. title vignette thingy. Whatever. We don't love you. Go away. And meanwhile, when Brock Lesnar came out, he almost shat the bed.
I'll say
Yeah.
this. I honestly believe that Seth Rollins should be more afraid of John Cena than Brock Lesnar. And you want to know why?
Why?
I don't know. Go ask Rusev what happened to him.
Very true. Very true.
Seth Rollins, do you want to get Rusev'd? I think not. I mean, what was it?
Just pray that you don't have a very hot female manager that leaves you for a lesser, weirded looking little gnome known as.
What is it with freaking Cena? Like, is it like a rite of passage that you have to get beaten by him? Because, ladies and gentlemen, probably right about now, if I've done my editing right, you're seeing whatever image I've thrown up there, and right about now is when I'm going to be throwing up an image that Kane sent me. Out of the 3 major guys who have come up from NXT so far, he's beaten all 3 of them. There's 2 really big guys left down there in NXT. Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, run! Seriously, dude, run. Like, you guys, like, if you guys come up to the main roster, like, Cena's going to bury you guys too. And it's just a question of whether you can survive that burial.
I feel like John Cena is that guy where he's sitting out in that movie where he's sitting out in the parking lot. He's like 40 years old, and he says the good thing about these high school girls is the more, as I get older, they stay younger. I feel like that's what John Cena is right now with the NXT universe. He goes there and he sits. He goes, the more these youngins come at me, the more I'm gonna take their panties.
He's the Hulk Hogan of his age, and not in the good way.
Nope. Even Hulk Hogan still got the good taste on him.
We're looking at Cena and Rollins at the next pay-per-view. Right. We did get a great six-man tag later on in the night.
And when I say great, we're talking about a mutiny and a half.
Yeah, that one kind of threw me. I kind of like, okay, Sheamus doesn't want to be... It was John Cena, Cesaro, and Randy Orton versus Sheamus, Kevin Owens, and Rusev. And once again, this was another case of Rusev getting Rusev'd. Because the story of the match was pretty much, let's showcase Cesaro, Randy Orton. You could have put a cardboard cutout of Randy Orton out there until the end of the match, and it would have been just about the same. And then John Cena was there just to bury everyone. There was a miscommunication between Kevin Owens and Sheamus. Sheamus gives him a bro kick or something, leaves. Previous to this, Rusev had gotten his bell rung and was collecting himself on the outside. Owens went for a tag and he wasn't there, but then Rusev got back up. Owens took that a little personally. Gave him a smack tag, kicked him in the head, walked out on Rusev. And then Rusev got AA'd. He took the big swing, which then transitioned almost seamlessly into a slingshot right into the RKO.
So good. That scene was so beautiful that if Orton and Cesaro decided to do a tag team, that has to be their finisher.
RK Cesaro.
Clever, trademarked, sealed, and delivered.
I call shotgun on that tag team name. Well, with that, really, we're left with our SummerSlam predictions. Now, here is what we know is going to happen. We know
for a fact.
We know for a fact that we're going to get Undertaker and Lesnar. That is the main event. I don't care what they try and pass off as the main event. That is the main event. Period. Bottom line.
That is the Christmas dinner.
We're also suspecting that we're going to be getting Cena and Rollins. And why? And it looks like we're also going to be getting Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose in the match of, well, we got nothing better to do.
The half soup, half sandwich match.
Exactly. And I don't know what they're going to do with the women, but
The women.
it's going to be something good. It's good. The only thing I find wrong with the way they've set things up is that there's no way, unless they break up Paige's team, that we can get Charlotte versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch, which is what I would like to see on SummerSlam. I would like to see that match on SummerSlam. Can I have that match? No, I cannot, because Charlotte
can I have
and Becky
cheeseburger?
Lynch are on the same team.
Can I have cheeseburger?
Can I have cheeseburger? Can I have Charlotte versus Sasha versus Becky? No, you cannot, because Charlotte and Becky are on the same team. Aww. So who do we get? Alicia Fox. Damn it. We're gonna get some kind of women's match there. I suspect we're probably gonna get like a Bad News Barrett versus R-Truth match somewhere in there. You know,
I just hope. All I can hope for is whatever the women's division's going to do, which my predictions are, it's going to be. I think they're gonna muster it up and say, you know what, Nikki Bella, time for that belt to be taken care of, and they just got this huge brawl out, and they're gonna save Survivor Series for like a Team Bella versus Team Paige kind of blowout, like they do with the men's division for Survivor Series.
I hope so. That would be awesome. Rather than their annual, every diva on the roster is in a tag team match. Hooray!
Exactly.
So predictions. We're gonna go with Wyatt Harper and Ambrose Reigns. Who do you think? How do you think that match goes? Who do you think wins?
Well, it's definitely going to be Pro Shield, only because the fact that they cheated in the Mountain Battleground. So I have a good feeling that Ambrose and Reigns is going to take it. But also, just going to point out real quick that I'm a little upset that this big main eventer for WrestleMania 31 is being side-choiced with Dean Ambrose once again, just to play around while they figure out what to do with Rollins and all these beef eaters, because obviously it's kind of factual that Rollins' gimmick is he's the chicken shit champion, and that we need to bring out like some weird, powerful wrestlers to fight him. And what kind of scandal is he going to do to get out of the way of that? Because this is pretty much what's going to happen, unless the title is going to be on the line against John Cena at SummerSlam. That's the only thing that I could think of that will lose the belt to, is because you can't beat Superman. I'm giving it to it.
Fair enough. I will say this much. I think they need to pull back on the Reigns project, and they need to throttle up the Ambrose project. I think the only way I am interested in a Reigns title match if it's Reigns versus Ambrose for the main title, because way back when they were doing that at the 4-way a few pay-per-views ago, when they were like, well, when they had taken out Orton and Rollins, and they were like, well, there's nothing left but us, and it's like, winner buys beers. It's like, no, loser buys beers, and they're like, yep. And I was like, I want to see that match. I want to see that match. But in any other context, I'm not interested in watching Reigns. I agree with you. I think Reigns and Ambrose go over. But I think it's more because they want to make Reigns look strong and less because there's any logic behind it. Furthermore, I'll go as far as to say, I think we can both agree that if the Rollins and Cena thing turns out to be true, Rollins wins by stupidity.
And 10 cents.
Yes. Rollins wins because Michael Cole nopes the fuck out.
We gotta get out of here.
Yeah. And then Undertaker and Lesnar. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen there?
I think they're gonna punch each other. They're gonna punch their fists into each other so hard that it becomes a nuclear bomb and destroys Lower Brooklyn. That's what's gonna happen.
I'm for winner of the match. Us. We win.
We
that
went
match.
automatic. We went automatically, folks, because
Not always.
the fact that Undertaker is going to be there and take care of business with Brock Lesnar in a way that's so meaningful to the universe is just well worth it already.
As long as Brock does not concuss the Undertaker in the first 5 minutes of the match, I think we're okay.
Well, that's the only way he's going to kill him because that's what he said to Undertaker. Because Undertaker says you're going to have to.
And well, I mean that's pretty much our predictions. Did you want to do the other thing, or have we gone on long enough? We've gone on for about another half an hour.
You know what? This is our show. Let's do this.
Let's do the other thing. So we're gonna do a little another segment here, really fast to
A
round out the
bonus
show.
segment. A bonus segment.
A bonus segment, and this segment is gimmicks that shouldn't have worked, but did. And you absolutely, under no circumstances, can say Michael Cole. Basically, what we're going to do here is that we're each going to name a gimmick that shouldn't have worked, but did. And we're going to explain why it shouldn't have worked and why it did. We're not going to take too long to do this, but it's a little bit of fun here at the end of the show.
Pretty much we limit ourselves to 3 wrestlers that we think were good gimmicks that technically, on paper, shouldn't have not lasted as long as it did.
Absolutely. So, the first one I'm going to pull out was as actually the one that inspired this, which came from a conversation that I had over the weekend with my best friend, which is a gimmick that shouldn't have worked but did, was The Undertaker. There's no way in hell that gimmick should have lasted more than 6 months. I mean, really, creepy, undead, mortuary guy. How did that last 22 years?
Had magical powers.
Obviously. I don't know whose soul he gave for that to keep his career going, but obviously Mark Callis gave it to somewhere, because before that, when he was Mean Mark Callis back in WCW, he was a biker that walked across the top rope and elbow dropped people. It is amazing. I mean, if you look at how gimmicky The Undertaker is, it's actually freaking amazing that we've gone, I think it's 23 years now, actually, where we're in our 23rd year. Because that is about as cheese as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you want to bring up for our second, one here?
First I wanted to say good job bringing the strong suit in and picking the freaking Undertaker as the first choice. God forbid we go with a lower rated gimmick that still was pretty juicy. But you know what? I'm gonna go a little old school on you. Well, not really too old school, but old school for the kiddies that actually view this show here. But a gimmick that definitely did go off for too long and still was gloriously done was Val Venus.
Oh God.
Val Venus was a porn star in the WWE universe. He did porn. He filmed porn. He was in porn scenes. He had affairs with wives of WWE wrestlers and all other possible ways. And the women soaked him up with their wet panties. It was a gimmick that just doesn't make sense on paper, but for some reason, it worked.
It worked for him for what? He was around for about 7-8 years. I mean, hello, ladies.
They even gave him a gimmick where they chopped his penis off.
Oh God, don't.
And
tie.
And exactly.
And not the cool Japanese version of Guy and Tai back in New Japan Pro, the weak Americanized version of it.
Mm-hmm. But that, my good sirs, is a gimmick that should have not lasted as long as it did, and it still did.
Well, for number 3, I'm gonna end us on a high note.
A mutual agreed high note, by the way.
And by high note, I mean low note. I'm going way low on this one. You know what a gimmick that shouldn't have worked but did, at least until they ruined it and they turned him face, was? Doink the Clown.
We went to the bottom of the barrel on that one, kids.
Well, here's the thing. It was a great gimmick because he was an evil clown, and
Well, let's also look at the facts too. This is during a time where the WWE universe was like saying, "Hey, we got to stop these stupid gimmicks and make real wrestlers because WCW is doing some serious damage to us right now." And that motherfucker survived.
dude, that dude, Doink the Clown. Yeah, like first of all, just by itself, take the evil clown part of it. That was freaking scary. Like he'd walk out, like his actual theme music was like you heard the like little calliope music, and then it was just like this dark, sinister thing where you heard like a clown laughing in the background and kids screaming like they were being burned to death and stuff. I have a friend of mine who is actually afraid of clowns, and I would screw with him by playing that music just at random intervals, and he would like this is a guy who is so afraid of clowns. Like I'd put Mardi Gras beads with like jester heads on it on like the doorknob, and he couldn't grab the doorknob because the clown scared him too much. He couldn't do it. I'm a jerk. I understand that. I'm okay with it. Once they started giving him midgets and they turned him face, that's when the gimmick really fell apart. But when he was the evil clown, and he could wrestle too, man, he could really wrestle. Like, dude went like 30 minutes with Bret Hart. That ain't like playing.
That no cheap stuff.
That ain't no cheap stuff. But I mean, so there we go. There are 3 gimmicks right there that shouldn't have worked, but did. And with that said, that actually brings us to the end of the show. And this wasn't a super show, but this is a little bit longer. But like you said, it's our show. Oh, who's gonna stop us? It's not like Fox is gonna stop us.
I know all 6 of our fans love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what's Fox gonna do? They can't sue us. Not using your trademark, jerks. Not that I'm bitter. But what we would like to do, and whose trademarks we do use, is bensound.com. We do use them for our opening and our closing theme, and we would like to thank them very much for allowing us to do that. bensound.com. If you're looking for some good Creative Commons stuff, go over there and check it out. They've got some pretty good tracks there that you can use for your web project or your next meeting. And well, next time, obviously, we're going to be reviewing SummerSlam, and we may even turn it into a mini super show because right the day before SummerSlam, that whole weekend is like wrestling weekend because it's the NXT Brooklyn show on Saturday. It's SummerSlam on Sunday, so there's going to be a lot to talk about next time.
Oh yeah.
Well, for my friend and my pal and my compatriot, he is Kane Super What Snuka. I am your boy, Kami the Faded Saint. We thank you guys for listening for us so much. You can hit me up on the Twitter, that is at Faded Saint. You can hit me up on the Tumblr, that is kamizite.tumblr.com. We're more than happy to take your questions. If you got any questions for him, just throw them through me because, they don't get the Tumblr in Parts Unknown. It's weird. It's kind of like China in that case. For some reason or another, they just blocked social media there. It's crazy.
It's Pappy Snooker. I've been trying to talk to him for weeks, but he just won't do it.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. But thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Later on, folks.